And there's that weird song when they have the play date. They're playing some awkward song.
Johnny Paycheck.
No, it's playing there.
It's Citizen King.
Citizen King?
Oh, that's right.
What do you look at? Like, I don't get it.
I feel like Gordo's looking. When we were like, Gordo, you should write notes for the show. He's writing notes, but he's looking at ones for other episodes. He's just throwing stuff out.
He's just never right, ever. It doesn't
But it's
matter.
weird because he looks it up. It's
I know he's got the power of the internet like at his fingertips, and he still gets everything wrong. I
feel
don't
like
understand
someone
it.
put something on his phone as a prank. So instead of Google, he's like using Boogle, and it like purposely gives you fake info.
Oh my
Did you
god!
say Boogle?
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, a show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle went 151 episodes over 7 seasons on Fox. Here we're talking about episode 1, which was called Pilot, originally airing January 9th, 2000. To get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me, as always, the boys, Nick, Berg, Joe, and Gordo. What's going on, guys?
Heyo.
Hello.
Yo!
They're just boobs, lady.
So first and foremost, welcome back, everyone, to week 4 of January. This week is Brandon's pick. Brandon's someone who's reached out to us a few times over the last year or so. He's told us he listens to some of our episodes on repeat, which is amazing because Gordo doesn't listen to some of our episodes at all.
Or
And
watch
I
the
edit them.
episodes that we cover.
And I edit them.
So thank you to Brandon. Thank you for this pick. He actually had like a different pick that was also he was wavering between, which I won't get into, but there's a good chance you're going to hear that one soon anyway. So, but yeah, Malcolm in the Middle, a show that we've talked about doing, we never did. And I think Berg thought we already did it.
Yeah, I was convinced.
I kind of did too. It comes up so often because we always talk about that other show, The Middle.
Yeah.
That as well.
Yeah,
Which
the
we
other
also
show, The
haven't
Middle,
done.
comes up, and then we talk about Malcolm in the Middle, and then we move on. So I think it's just in our brains.
We had to have talked about a specific part of Malcolm in the Middle in another episode because I remember discussing like the classroom and stuff.
It's weird. There's so many shows that are at a level of popularity that I think we just assume will eventually happen or someone else will pick. So there's a lot of this like B tier shows that we just haven't done for whatever reason.
I wouldn't call this a B tier show.
No, I don't mean it in that way. I mean like there's like the Seinfelds, The Office, like those like top tier shows, like the regarded as the best shows of all time.
We'll get into it, but I don't think this show is, again, not to tip the hat, I don't think
You
this
can
show
tip
is
it.
far off from those. I think this,
Yeah.
in its own right, was a very influential sitcom.
I think we are very far away from the days where we guarded how we felt about episodes.
Yeah, this isn't... I
Yeah.
will say this, though. Do you know what this feels like to me?
What?
The year 2000 on Fox. Very,
And the year
very much.
2000.
And
I
I don't...
that single camera stuff that got really, really popular at this time too.
Like, if you watch this right after Titus, you'd be like, oh, okay. Yep. I'm in the year of Y2K. Like, your brain is just right
That's a good
there.
night right there, yeah.
It is a good night. Yeah, probably get some pizza, maybe some Chinese food.
Every show is going to have a fisheye lens at some point in time.
Has to.
Yeah.
And at least one actor from Seinfeld or a Cheech and Chong movie will be involved at some point.
Also, I just want to remind everyone real quick, S1E1pod.com is where you can find all our links to our social medias, everywhere where you can listen to us. S1E1pod on Instagram and X. Interact with us. We like talking to you guys. January is kind of a special month where we had some people pick episodes, but we still like to hear from you guys in general and know what shows you want us to do. And we have a lot of other things we'd like to get going with, like giveaways and stuff. So follow us there and we can start let me remember how to talk, get moving on some of that stuff.
Yeah, the next contest will be who gets to record an entire episode with red paint all over their ass.
Yes. And then a couple quick numbers. IMDb have this show in at an 8.2. Rotten Tomatoes, only an audience score, but an audience score of 90. This is a show that I would assume we've all watched a chunk of in its day, which is kind of funny because it's also right around that era where we say we didn't watch a lot of TV. So maybe that says a lot about this show.
I in passing have seen episodes.
Oh, I watched this every week when it was on.
I watch a lot of this too. I will say this though, we sometimes talk about like the chunks. I think it started at a point where we were watching it a lot. Because when I was looking this up and they were like, and their fifth child, Jamie, I was like, who the fuck is Jamie?
Yeah.
Like at that
That's
point,
awesome.
I wasn't watching anymore, clearly. Because that would have been, this went how many seasons? 5?
7.
7. So we were out of high school by the time this ended. There was no way.
I did not
know.
see a lot of this show.
You don't remember them having the other baby? Jamie, who for a while had no idea what they wanted the sex of the baby to be, which is why it's Jamie.
Oh.
Ah.
Fun fact.
I did not know that.
Another
actually
fun
got-
fact about this show is that in this episode, their last name is Wilkerson, but the writers actually changed it after this episode, and you don't actually know what their last name is until the last episode when I think it's Francis's work ID falls, and it's actually no last name.
Heisenberg.
Yeah.
Also, did you know that Malcolm can't fart?
Is that real?
No, it's
No.
a callback to last
Come on,
week when
Jake.
Gordo said rabbits can't fart. I'm sorry,
Oh,
it was
Joke's
3 weeks ago, not
Because he
last
wasn't
week.
here, I don't think.
Yeah, I missed that one, so I was not on that episode, so I had no idea what Nick was talking about here.
I have a whole bunch of rabbit facts that they are trying to dispute.
They
They
weren't
weren't
facts.
factual.
They were rabbit fictions.
Yeah, they're easily disputable.
I like when sometimes I'm like, I don't want to miss an episode because, you know, I want to make sure I'm here for everything. And then I find out this is what I missed. And it was like, nah, it was better just being sick and not being on the episode. Fuck that.
I don't want to miss an episode because I don't want to miss out shitting on
Yeah,
Gordo.
but you also missed out on a prime opportunity to do an Anna Nicole impression that you
Yep,
probably
you
did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It was
Goddamn.
actually a show that was like tailored for you to be on. You really missed a good one. But that was 2 weeks ago. We did a show since then. We did Out of This World was last week's episode.
So Out of This World was last week's episode. And that one had Casper Jackson in it, so I'm good.
Also, I do want to bring up real quick. I mean, you know, to peel it back, we don't go live. You know, these shows aren't, you know, coming out the day we record them. The day we're recording this episode is actually 24 years to the day that this episode debuted.
Neat.
No, no shit.
Funny that. A January debut, a mid-season replacement.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that at the time because most shows are all just coming out in September.
Yeah, usually this would be like when they always knew a show or two was going to tank. You gotta have
Well,
something
this-
in reserves.
This show was originally slated for UPN, and they gave up on it, and then it got picked up by what is it on Fox?
This is
Yeah.
Fox, yeah.
So they ended up snagging it when they canceled. So maybe that's why.
UPN
Also-
was like, let's do another season of Nick Freno Licensed Teacher, a real hit. Let's leave Malcolm in the Middle to Fox and see what they can do with it. Maybe
A
they'll
show that
advertise
we've-
it on the Super Bowl.
We've tried doing Nick Freno, and you just can't find like a good enough copy of that episode to like justify it.
It's become
feel
a
like-
weird white whale because we can't actually find it, whereas a show like Bob Hart's Abishola, I just don't ever want to do because we can't make the joke anymore.
Oh, I'll still make the joke.
It'll be doing its last season. Last season coming up for Bob Hart Abishola.
And we'll be covering it.
I'm assuming we'll cover it soon. So anyway, might as well get into this episode. So it starts off with a monologue. We're hearing Malcolm's voice, and the exact monologue isn't even worth quoting, but he's kind of running through, and you're learning a little bit. Like he has 3 brothers. It's weird. He's like kind of the middle child, but like ish. 'cause
really.
there's 4 of them.
Yeah, because of the 4th, it throws it off. But Francis isn't there, so he's
Yeah, so he's like the middle of the 3 that are around. But yeah, Francis, the oldest one, is in military school. And then he has Dewey, his younger brother, and then Reese, his older brother.
Is that threat gone? I'm sure military schools still exist, but our entire childhoods, TV shows, that was the threat. We'll send you to military school.
It
I mean, they even
sounds
actually
like
send AJ to military school in The Sopranos. A kid gets sent there too, at around the exact same times. Like they were actually pushing
Yeah, I
the
mean,
envelope.
it
Military
sounds
Military
like a
doing
judge
it.
sent him there. Which nowadays you can get sent to the military, yeah, easily. Like I'd say I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but there are definitely a percentage of people in the military who are essentially court ordered there. It's like join the army or go to jail, and
Yeah, especially when you're in that like 18-ish range. Like you do just enough to be in a nuisance.
yeah.
In
Do you think-
peacetime, it's a good deal. It's like, well, fuck it. I committed a crime. They're gonna wipe this crime off the books. I'll go get
But
in
you're
good
not
shape.
treated the same though, as an enlisted person. I don't think.
I think you are. I think they just think of you as another grunt.
Mm,
You're a body.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're probably
you
just a
are,
bullet catcher, but
eventually, but I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know. None of us were in the military. Maybe we'll have to do some homework.
I wonder if that's why they're so poor. It's because they have to pay to send them to this private military school. Because each parent has a job. I know they're not good jobs, but they each have a job, and they're just very poor.
I don't know. People have 2 jobs now, and they're poor.
I think it's also just having 4 kids. It's expensive.
Yeah, I just think they're just very like working middle class.
I mean, not much has changed.
A lot's changed.
After that like little monologue, we get into the intro of the show, it was weird because it's like not the exact version I'm used to. Even the song was slightly modified from what I'm used to.
It's like
Yeah.
a different part of the song. It's the
Yeah.
same song, but it's like a different section.
Another
yeah.
band that has been on the show before.
They might be giants.
Yeah. They did
What else?
Big Bang Theory.
No, they didn't. That
Oh.
was
Yeah.
Bare Naked Ladies.
No, that was
Okay,
They
never
Might
mind.
Be Giants.
You want to argue with me? Because I know for a fact it's Bare Naked Ladies.
I literally have blocked out every second of the Big Bang Theory,
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
I can't even jump in on this one.
They Might Be Giants.
No, it's Bare Naked Ladies.
You know what?
They Might Be Giants makes more sense though, because they are a nerdy band. Like they're the band who's like, the sun is a massive incandescent gas.
This isn't worth debating. This is something worth Googling. Yeah, you can figure this out very easily.
Who wrote Big Bang Theory theme song? Shut up.
It is the Bare Naked Ladies, yes.
Of course.
I had no idea that was the case.
I thought
You
that
know,
was
doesn't-
They Might
it-
Be Giants.
It doesn't sound like the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
based on the one bare naked lady song you can think of.
Yeah.
It's been.
This doesn't sound like those bare naked ladies deep cuts I'm so familiar with.
Hey, I could be the biggest Bare Naked Ladies fan. I guess I would know that they did this.
Yeah, I was gonna say you kind of shot yourself on the foot on that one. Like, no offense to the Bare Naked Ladies, I certainly
they
don't know
have
more
one-
than-
Aside from 1 week, what's the other one that they have that people
like
would know?
prick me or something like there was one. It's funny when we were in
Pinch
high
Me?
school.
Is it
Pinch me.
Pinch
That's
Me?
what it was. Yeah, and I only know that because when we were in high school, we had a jukebox and that song was on it, and somebody played it like every day.
I
I'm like-
forgot we had a jukebox in high school.
Yeah, we didn't have it every year. It disappeared at one point, didn't it? Or they like
Continuity issues.
didn't-
No, we didn't have it in the early days. We got it, I think, our sophomore year.
I think
Oh.
our school's funding had continuity issues too. Them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the kind of thing they really liked, and then we realized we were drinking 10-year-old Fruitopia, and they were like, maybe we get rid of the fucking jukebox at this point.
Also, part of this intro is unfortunately this is only early clips. This doesn't have all the extra stuff that like I've come to know the show to have in the intro. So we don't get Chris Benoit versus Bret Hart in the intro.
Oh,
like we
yeah.
normally
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've cut that out in subsequent re-showings of the
do.
show.
Oh, you know,
Good question.
I don't know if they did. I
Probably
don't know.
not because you get a lot more Bret Hart, and
You
it's
get
like
way more
Benoit's
Bret.
on the ground, putting a sharpshooter. So
Which is good and perfect because he's an evil, terrible man.
yes, Bret Hart is.
Yeah. One person cares way too much about wrestling, and the other one's Bret Hart.
All right, I'm not going to comment on any of this. But yeah, no, this is a very fun intro. That song's a bit of a earworm in itself. It's very,
iconic thanks to this show.
Yeah,
I would love to
It's
know
one
the
of those-
kind of money you pull in when you're like the theme song for a show like this, and then like the subsequent like how many albums did they sell because of this show? How many more people did go to their shows? You know, like this boost your profile and your income, I would imagine, significantly.
when theme songs get this, like when regular songs become this iconic for being a theme song, is it weird for the band? Like, do they play this live? Is it weird to play it live at this point?
Probably not.
No,
Money
dude,
is
there's a
money.
weird thing going on. I forget who it was. Some like smaller independent band or whatever. One of their songs ended up in like a TikTok video. This is like some like, you know, smaller punk band or whatever. So they were playing shows and like the shows were selling out and people were going, and then they were like recreating the thing from the TikTok video when the band played that song and then just leaving. So like it
Money
looks
is
like
money.
Sure, but it's depressing though to be like, look how many people came to our show. We sold out.
You know what? A smart band would be like, save that for the last song.
Well, I imagine you do once you figure out what's going on. I'm sure it takes a few days though to be like, what the fuck's happening here? And then someone probably hits you to like, oh, you're.
What
in a
you do
TikTok
is you
video or
just
whatever.
play that song, but you book in like 10 different venues. You know, double and triple up.
Bounce around the city.
I saw clips of people who are like popular on TikTok who go on tour and just do like weird TikTok things, and like people go crazy.
I fucking hate that exists. That makes me sad about the world.
I hate that so much.
It makes me hate the world so much.
I kind of
just
want to
like-
see the guy that
No.
does the weird rap. Like he makes all the weird funny raps about like
It's
parts and
TikTok. You need to be
groups.
more specific.
Yeah.
There's this one guy, I think his name is Rise Hendricks, that he does this skit called like Weird Bars, where he has all these characters come in and they like rap, and they like rap about like poop. They're like hardcore
Do
gangsters.
you know
or
how
something.
old you sound right now trying to describe a TikTok video? I'd really like you to... And I
keeps
believe
me
his
young,
name is
bro.
Rise Hendricks, I think. Yes.
They rap about poop.
He poop raps.
RYZE?
Yeah. It's one of those
Regardless,
newfangled ways of spelling.
Right
It
now, that
doesn't-
guy's ears are burning in the worst way ever. He's like, oh no, someone's talking about me.
Well, what I meant though is I see stuff where it's just like, 18-year-old kids who are just getting on stage and like doing like little like hand gestures and like, like not even a dance. It's like more just like a movement, and people are going crazy. And I'm going,
And
what
kids
is
are basically all not even watching them. They're turned around with their phones like this so they can have a selfie that they were there. I fucking hate the world we live in.
That's how we got the Island Boys.
You know what, though?
True.
We were the weird generation with all that weird shit. It's cyclical. It's generational. Like, our parents hated everything that we did, as we will hate everything the younger generation.
Yeah, I'm sure they
At least
hated
we
our
don't say
Jenkos.
skibbity and like
Yeah,
yak
you don't
to the
think-
Rizzler.
Exactly. Like, you don't think that our parents hate... I mean, Joe's the exception, but we all wore baggy pants, right? You didn't think our parents were like, you look fucking ridiculous. But
I had the
you know,
opposite of that though. Parents were like, your
Yeah.
pants are too tight. You look fucking ridiculous. It was the same effect.
Didn't your dad at one point say that if you farted too hard, you'd blow your shoes off?
Yes, he did. That was right around the time when I was wearing nothing but bullets all over me, and they were calling me Frito Bandito as well.
Joe farts and all the bullets just start shooting everywhere.
They shoot off. Yeah. Pew, pew. I will say though, to that, every generation has their dumb shit, right? And that's just what it is. And you can't judge another generation because
I'm
you're just not
judging.
part
Yes,
of
you
it.
can.
I mean,
I'm
I will,
judging
but I mean,
hard.
like, you really can't. But I think that we are lucky that we did not have cell phones in our generation. Organically, we're able to do shit, and then still
I think
be
we'd
of
all
the
have better
generation-
grades if we did.
Oh, well,
Oh,
sure,
yeah,
I'm sure.
I forgot. Fargu loves cheating.
I love
Yeah, made that
cheating.
clear recently.
I mean, maybe more of us here would have gone to college, but
I went to college. We discussed it
I went to
earlier. It doesn't
college.
help.
I'm still an idiot.
well, as I'm saying, it's 2 out of 5. That's 40%.
I went.
Nick went.
Sorry.
I was
Oh
gonna say
shit, Nick did go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Jay and I are dum dums? Well, fuck me then. Fuck you, Jay.
I don't know what to say. I'm doing okay. My spending's terrible, but my earnings okay. But
Yeah. I
regardless,
I think we're doing
of that,
all right. We're all
I
doing
mean,
okay. everybody.
I
Good
make
job,
more
guys.
than I would if I did what I went to school for. So it worked out. In the end.
Calligraphy.
Yes, calligraphy.
underwater basket weaving.
Cheese appreciation.
They said it would catch on one day.
So in any event, the first scene after the intro, it's just we see the two parents in the kitchen, and the mom is just shaving like the father's butt. It's what are the parents' names in the show? It's
Lois, right?
Yeah,
Lois
Hal
and,
and Lois.
And Hal.
and
Hal.
Hal, yeah. So Lois is shaving Hal, and he's just like reading the paper, and it's so gross.
That scene's later in the intro too, and it wasn't in
Yeah.
this one obviously, but that's another scene I remember from the intro. Is them like that whole part.
I think smartly though, right? Because like you don't want this in the intro of the first episode, because then you ruin the joke of how funny it is to see this scene.
Yeah, when it's
Well, a
the
lot of
first
shows
scene.
fall into that though, where they have to use first episode clips because they're making
Yeah,
the intro.
20
They don't have a
minutes
lot
only of
filmed yet.
stuff, yeah.
But yeah, there's like that newspaper all over the ground, and you see piles of hair everywhere, and it's fucking gross.
Why are they in the kitchen?
That's the thing.
They
Like, this
could have
isn't a
been
kids' activity.
anywhere.
Why do they like being naked around their kids so often?
That too. I do remember years ago, I lived with a friend of mine and I was like going away, and it was like the day or two before I was going on a trip, and she's like, "Do you want me to shave your back for you?" And I was like, "Sure." So we're like on the porch, and she's like, and then like my downstairs neighbor just like is walking in and hears like on the porch and looks up, and it's just this really awkward situation where he's like buzzing my back before I go to
He
Cancun.
just gets hit with a tumbleweed of hair.
Yeah, his hair falls through the cracks of the floor too. I mean, I think that's one of those younger things too. Like now, I feel like if you're gonna like manscape yourself or do whatever, you're gonna do it yourself. But at some point, like I don't know, when I nared my chest, I was like, "Can somebody help me do this?"
I
The
can
first
reach.
time you do it, you need some help.
Well, the back is the back. It's just
You can't reach the back. Yeah.
You just got to embrace it. You got to embrace the natural sweater.
Not when you're as hairy as me.
I know we're in different situations. Gordo, you literally showed everyone your chest like
Yeah,
a couple
Gordo,
weeks
you
back.
don't have any body hair.
You're pretty hairless.
I am.
Yeah, embrace it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would love to embrace being hairless. But
Listen,
We're in
I
very
would love
different
hair.
situations.
I get cold easily.
Well, yeah, you're a lot smaller than us too. Like it's not the
I don't think
hair.
the chest hair is gonna help, bud.
But in any event, as this is happening, mom's calling her sons in because it's like they have to have breakfast before school. She's telling them there's only 2 toaster waffles left, so one of them's gonna have to have cereal. So now they're all like just legit fighting to get to these waffles.
Is it weird that I'd rather have the cereal?
I'd rather the cereal
Depends on the
because
cereal.
Depends on the cereal.
each one's going to get one waffle. A bowl of cereal is going to be a lot more filling.
I'd
Yeah,
rather
just-
the waffle.
It's just an Eggo each.
Yeah, I'd rather like an order of waffles, but a single waffle, I'd rather the cereal.
I just got cinnamon checks the other day, and they are delicious.
And then this is right around when we're seeing for the first time too. Malcolm talks to the camera a lot, and he'll
Yeah.
do it like mid dialogue with other people. Like he'll just turn and look to the camera all the time.
Yeah, it's saying Zach Morris timeout.
Yeah.
Is it this much in other episodes? I don't remember it being this much.
I don't know.
I
'cause,
do.
Like it's been so long since I've watched an episode, so I don't know if my memory's fuzzy, but it does happen a lot.
It does happen a lot.
Yeah,
I
it's the whole
remember it.
show. He just narrates throughout everything.
When he's talking to us this time, he's explaining that like the whole issue with like dad being shaved, this is like a monthly affair because he has sensitive skin and it makes him itchy when he wears clothes when his hair's too long.
I call BS on that. 1 month. Shave your chest and tell me how you feel in 1 month. You're gonna need to shave it more often than that if you're so sensitive.
You're kind
to
of an
it.
all. Well, that's the thing. Like if you look at how hairy Hal is, like he let himself completely fuzz out again, which means you go through that whole itchy phase, and now you have
Yeah.
this long, like puffy hair again. So if he's growing hair at this rate, he's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, you're gonna want to do that
Probably
weekly.
Probably should have looked into it beforehand, but do you think that's his real chest hair, or do you think that's for the bit? Like, that's like,
I think they added
Put
some
on.
hair because he's fully fuzzy.
he's very, very
all
hairy.
throughout. Yeah.
Yeah, so they
I was
probably
gonna
added
say-
to the arms and stuff.
I've never seen Breaking Bad before, but I assume there's a scene in Breaking Bad where he's shirtless, and that would be the place to tell.
Yeah, but he's going through chemo, so he's got no hair on him.
That's true. He's
Oh
hairless.
shit, you're
Yeah.
right. I sort of knew that. Again, I've
You
never seen Breaking
You never
Bad.
saw Breaking Bad at all?
No.
No.
I don't
It's-
watch dramatic
It's
shows.
overrated.
Ferg has that's one of those things Ferg decided he didn't like before he watched it. It's a phenomenal show, and I don't watch a lot of drama-like shows. You guys know that. I loved it. I watched every episode.
I do like shows like that, but I've never seen that or Mad Men. Those are the two that like are just missing from my portfolio.
I want
Never
to
seen
watch
Mad
Mad
Men
Men.
either.
That's one I got to
Never
get
seen
into.
Mad Men either. I've seen an episode or two of Mad Men, but I came in the middle, so I didn't understand what was going on.
I will say this though, as somebody who is
Why are
trying
these
his
men so
damnedest to quit smoking right now, I don't think I could handle Mad Men right now.
That'd probably be tough. Yeah, that'd be a tough one right now.
Justified. We rewatch Justified like every couple of years, and I always am like, I don't know what happened, but I drank like 2 bottles of bourbon in the course of rewatching Justified. It's an entire show of just people drinking straight bourbon.
What a weird show to constantly rewatch.
It's so good.
Moving along. So now mom's talking about this whole shaving thing, and like she thinks it's like almost wasteful to throw all this hair away. She thinks maybe like birds would like to nest in it. Or like the boys could use it for school projects. And then while she's having this dialogue, tells him like arms up so she could like get a different part of him. So while he's doing that, moving the newspaper up, which was covering him, Now he's exposing his dick to his kids.
The
You just
kid's
get, like,
reaction's really
Reese
good
is
too.
like, oh, dude.
The kid cringe is fun. I never had naked family, so I'm glad I
Me
never
neither.
had to deal with this.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh no.
Just work
Just
through
keep
it.
going.
Yeah, I don't think many people had naked family.
Yeah, that's not normal because I think we all were like, ew.
Right. I mean, imagine some people must do. I mean, like some people must have that, I'd imagine, right? But maybe not so much now. I think that there's a different mindset of that stuff now, probably. But
Yeah.
I don't even know how to
100%.
approach the conversation to be like, well, I'm sure I've seen my dad naked at some point. Like, there's no like normal way to navigate this conversation.
Nah, yeah.
So
Every one of those kids is too old for an accidental situation. Like
Accidental
obviously,
dad
you know,
flash.
like walk into the bathroom as a little kid or something, you don't know the boundaries or whatever. Like, sure, but yeah, they're all way too old for that.
This is weird, but it's not nearly as weird as the mom later. But we'll get into that when we get to
we'll get
it.
into that when we get into it. But right now, mom's telling Malcolm that, hey, after school today, make sure you get home and like clean up because she has a play date arranged for him. And it's Stevie the Wheelie Knurbin.
Stevie's one of my favorites.
Now, did anybody else get confusion in the fact that his last name gets used a lot and the name of the class gets used a lot, and they're both K and they both sound very similar? That
The
kept
class
throwing
name's
me
weird
off.
too. It's like, it doesn't feel like a natural name for the school. So like, I don't think I'll say it at all.
Well, do you know what the class is named? The Krellborns? That's a reference to Little Shop of Horrors. That's
Yes.
Seymour's last name.
Seymour. Now here's a question, Furry. I know you've seen them both. Has anybody here not seen either Little Shop of Horrors?
I've seen both.
I've seen the original.
I've seen
I
the
saw the
original.
one Rick Moranis.
Jack Nicholson, I think, is better than anybody in the Rick Moranis version, but the Rick Moranis one is much more fun.
The Rick Moranis one's got the whole dentist scene, which I love.
That's Jack Nicholson in the original one.
Oh, then I've seen the
This
Rick
one's
Moranis
Steve
one.
Martin.
Yeah,
I
Steve
prefer
Martin
Steve
is the
Martin.
dentist in the Rick Moranis one, and the patient
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Jack
yeah.
Nicholson in the first one.
So basically there's a kid in Malcolm's school that's like wheelchair bound. And there was one time where Malcolm sat with him and like at lunch, which he says like, I don't know, I guess the kid just wheeled over to where he was sitting, but they ate together sort of. That was like, I don't know, I guess the kid doesn't have a lot of friends. So, to him, that was like a big moment. So now that mom reached out to Malcolm's mom and they're setting up this play date. And even when like, it's weird, their mom is very aggressive, but I think she's pretty logical every time she talks, except for when it's like weird food things.
I feel he's aged out of the setup play date era of childhood.
But I feel like that's kind of addressed in how they respond to it. Like I
Yeah.
have a play date. Like, so they kind of
Yeah.
made that known that he was too old for that.
Could've
Also,
been
the first time in
Dewey.
the episode we hear the word crippled, which also feels very the year 2000.
I did like the way that she went about that because like, as she's yelling at him, like, he's, a good kid and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're going to hang out with that crippled boy.
Oh, 90s Fox. Actually, this would have been 90s UPN.
Yeah, it feels like I brought up Titus earlier, but I feel like that's the kind of thing you would expect when they do one of the flashbacks in Titus. Like, you're gonna hang out with that crippled boy. Like, that sounds like the dad yelling at them.
Doing
I'm glad-
buggies.
This show feels like a show that would be flashbacky, but it's not. And I appreciate that it's not.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not because they're all too young. It would be weird to have to flashback because you'd have to use different actors.
Yeah, that's true.
They do a good amount later on the show, if I remember, like anytime it's Francis. And they do it a little in this episode too, when they're explaining why he's in military school.
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah.
there's that one time. As the mom's kind of going into all this stuff about how they should all be grateful to have working legs, it kind of ends off with Dewey, the youngest, being like, I don't take my legs for granted, Mom. And she's like, I know, honey, you're a good boy. Stop playing with yourself.
Dewey, do you mean Spike Frohmeyer from Christmas with the Cranks? Or Baby
Yep.
Joe Dirt? Either way, great roles.
And then we're cutting outside and like the kids are about to walk to school. And I like that you can see the next door neighbors who I think just sold the house
No, their house is for sale, and as they
House is for
scurry
sale, trying to
along,
get
the
away
other
from-
house
yeah.
is for sale too. So both
like
houses
a bunch
next
of
to
the
their
houses.
house.
They're like
Yeah,
trying to
they're-
get. They make it look like they're trying to get away from this family, but like the two daughters are like almost like running past their house to get to school because they just hear the boys yelling and stuff as they're leaving. You can kind of tell that this family is a bit of a nuisance to the community.
They do a good job too of like if they kind of don't lean in on it, but they slowly pan past their house, and you can see how terrible their lawn is somehow overgrown and dead at the same time, which I didn't think grass could do. Like the roof is dirty. There's like a bunch of metal trash cans, like Oscar the Grouch trash cans. They do a really good job set dressing their house to make it look like a complete nightmare.
And it's one of those times too, like, you know, even though we've already moved back outside to go back in, I guess in speech, it's one of those houses that it's realistic. You know what I mean? It's not a TV house. It feels lived in. There's texture to it. You know, it's not big and open. Like you feel a little congested inside the rooms with them. Like I always kind of appreciate that.
Fun
Yeah,
fact,
it feels like
when
they took a real
finished-
house and just cut a third of it off to put tracks in for the camera, but it feels very real.
But when they finished filming in this house, they did the roof over for the homeowners.
Oh, that's
So
very
it was
nice.
filmed in a house the whole time.
Yeah,
like
an
a legit
actual house.
And you
Oh.
can still see the house. The outside of the house looks exactly the same. It's in somewhere in LA, but I saw a picture of it. And it's like, oh, that's that house for sure. Nicer, but the same footprint and everything.
This is also the second time, and it's not the last time in this episode where she has enough food to give the two people the same thing. So only two are getting ham. The third's getting egg salad.
That's
Yeah,
going in the
Joey.
trash if I'm the egg salad kid. I don't want people
was just-
smelling my fart lunch. Like,
So how upset would you be if you got all excited to go to school and eat your favorite lunch, ham, and then you open up and you got egg salad instead?
If I thought I was getting a delicious ham and cheese sandwich and it was egg salad, I would lose my fucking mind.
No, you guys egg salad guys?
I
No.
like egg salad, but I'm not going to be that kid at school.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had it. I wouldn't say I dislike it, but it's one of those things, much like with tuna, I will only eat it if I make it. I'm not eating pre-made egg salad. It grosses me out.
No,
Agreed.
yuck.
Yeah. Only if I
I've
make
never
it.
liked any of the quote unquote salads. Like I don't like pasta salad, potato salad,
They're
egg
very
I'm
salad,
with you
fried
on
salad.
those. I don't eat potato salad or pasta salads.
Me neither. I don't like cold potatoes.
Right.
I like
No,
it.
what's
I like
funny?
a good
People are like,
potato.
I love potato salad. Be like, try to make somebody eat a cold French fry and watch them lose their fucking minds. And be like, would you
What
like
are
some
you talking
potato
about? I
salad? They're like,
snack
ooh,
like that.
delicious.
I snack like that.
Nick, you
eat
come
cold
off as a
French
potato
fries?
salad guy.
I love potato. My mom's potato salad is amazing.
What's in it? Potatoes?
It's yeah. It's got a
And
nice
lettuce.
dusting of paprika.
And
We had
croutons.
an epic potato salad fight in your backyard, Nick. Me and one of our friends.
I know. I cleaned it up.
I feel
Wasn't
like
my
the
fault.
poor things Nick's backyard fence had to see over the course of us all hanging out there.
Is that the night with is that video, like that old cell phone slow motion video of Ferg just drunk being hosed down?
yeah, yeah. And there's a picture the next day. Like
No, but
Yes.
that's 4th of July, isn't it? The hose
No.
one?
it was well, it might have been, but it was probably my birthday.
I've been
And then
hosed
there's
a
like
lot.
a picture of my yard is just deciminated, and for some reason there's
My
a
hat.
stake in the ground with Berg's cake covered hat on it because he decided to have a cake fight. I don't know. Mowing my lawn after those was such a nightmare because it would just launch thousands of bottle caps.
Oh yeah, your lawn was definitely growing bottle cap trees for
Yeah.
many a year.
That was my house after the 4th of July. It was always a nightmare to get that like back to being just a yard.
Just a patch of grass again. Nick, you know what I was thinking of the other day? Speaking of the hose, reminded me where you literally had a driveway and you bought a chimenea and we were like, we're gonna light a fire, and one of your neighbors called the fire department on us. And they came down with the hose out, and we were just like, that's okay, it's just a chimenea, we can turn the fire, like we can hose it down. And they was like, no, we have to. They called us, so we have to do it. And just like sad 40-year-old guy had to use the fire hose to put out your chimney.
I
We're like,
remember that,
Okay, party's
yes.
over. Fuck.
Stop saying chimenea. I don't like that.
That's what it's called. Don't you like when I say chimenea?
We were really dangerous with that. We threw gas in it to light it and stuff.
Yeah, well, the backyard fires were always way more tame than our
Parking lot
parking
fires?
lot fires,
yeah.
I guess you would call them.
We played with fire a lot.
Well, Ferg did. I think we all just kind of followed suit.
Yeah, we
Ferg
were
was just
degenerates. What can
lit
I
everything on fire.
Ferg would light himself on fire a lot.
say? Yeah.
When we were kids, we grew up somewhere where there was very little to do. Like it was, so you made your own fun, and if you were outside, I guess we just set
Fire's
things on
fun.
fire.
Unless you light your
well-
hand on fire with the
Okay.
fluid under your arm.
Full circle here. Imagine, if you will, you're driving down the center of town, right? And you see 30 kids in, between the ages of 14 and 16. And there's just a huge fire on the ground. You would be like, wow, what a bunch of assholes. And then we were like, why is everybody mad at us? I don't
Oh,
get
I
it.
knew why we were.
Why does
hated.
our whole town hate us?
In fairness, though, and I don't want to get too we're already super tangenty this episode, but when we wanted to do things like hang out at the park, that was also not okay. So like, there's a point where we were like backs against the wall, running out of things to do.
But do you think one led to the other? Like, these kids
No.
light shit on fire. Let's not let them hang out at the park.
To be fair,
No.
I remember one night at the park where one of our friends got the way too powerful fireworks, and we put a firework over a steel trash barrel and shot that thing like 50 feet in the air, which was one of the scariest and coolest things I've ever seen. But that was the reason why we were also not allowed at the park.
The dry ice bombs.
Those are awesome.
We're lucky we all have our arms.
And I want to leave the conversation.
Roman candle baseball.
If you were like, when we were like 13, 14 years old in the town we grew up in, if you wanted to meet up with your friends past 5:00 p.m., what was there to do? Literally nothing.
Eat food at a takeout place or light shit on fire. That was all we had.
Climb a tree in a
Yeah,
parking lot.
there were very low options. There was nowhere for like kids to hang out where we grew up at the time. So, not justifying everything we did, but we were a little bit a product of our environment and lack of things to do. So, anyways, getting back into this, as the kids are walking to school, you see this kid Richard come up, and he's talking to Malcolm, and he's like, "Oh, like my parents told me about your brother and how he went to jail. Like, he didn't go to jail. He went to like one of the best military schools." And we like get that cut to him, and it's the oldest brother who, played by Christopher Masterson. You may know his brother, convicted rapist from that 70s show, Danny Masterson.
I will say, when they cut to this montage, it's the girl taking off her clothes. I'm like, ooh,
But,
that felt weird.
Why do you gotta say it like that and make me laugh at a rapist?
Not my intent, but yeah. So you get him. Francis is the oldest brother, and it's like this. I really like the way it was shot. It was showing like a kind of like a montage of times he got in trouble, but it was all
really
done
well
by him
yeah.
doing like
Yeah.
basically telling his dad the same speech, like, Dad, I know what you're gonna say. Believe me, I agree with you. And it's like the speech goes on, but it cuts to different times.
It's one monologue in 4 scenes, and the audio
and it's
doesn't
like,
break.
and it's different. Like, it's not like it's him doing it 4 different times, but it's set up that there's it's very smooth from shot to shot, and I really like the way that was done.
He's really good, and I was kind of surprised that he hasn't done more. And I understand a lot of these people, like Stevie, a lot of these people stopped acting in like 2012. I'm sure a lot of them just made a bunch of fucking money when this went to syndication and were like, why would I work anymore? Because that's what I would do. But for how good some of the people in this show are, like him, I'm surprised he wasn't in a bunch of stuff. He seems like he could lead a My Name Is Earl type show, or be,
Right.
on a sitcom anytime he wanted to.
He went on to other stuff, didn't he?
He was famous in his own right, but
He's done some stuff, but not a ton, and he hasn't acted in a few years. I will say, though, the kid who plays Richard, the friend, he was in a 2021 fan film called The Fall of Casey Jones, which is just like a very well done Ninja Turtles fan trailer that I watched today. I would suggest everyone checks it out. I don't want to put it into the
Is
chat
that
until
the
we
Casey
talk about
Jones movie I sent a while ago in our chat?
it. I don't think so. I don't recall seeing this one.
well, with that being said, send it along now, and I will watch it when we're done recording. After that, we continue along this walk to school, and this is when we first meet Spath, Dave Spath. He is apparently like the town bully who
He's This is Christmas
It is
Story.
very
This
much
whole
like that,
scene
yeah.
is just
Very
a
much
Christmas
Christmas
story.
Story.
Like,
It was also, from what I understand, that character was meant to be like a regular, but after the pilot, they were like, you know what? Never mind. So kind of sucks for that kid because as much as a dick as he was, he played that role really well.
I think by the end of the episode, there's no
Yeah.
redemption for him. Like, you can't give that kid's story a redemption arc, probably. So you just got to leave him as a villain.
Yeah, but it's kind of like almost you could turn the tables now. We'll talk about it when we get into it, but
In this scene, though,
Like-
what a shithead because he makes you pick two.
yeah, he's bullying this kid.
yeah, but he offers 3, and then you get a couple
Yeah, but
weeks
the,
off.
The
I'd
three
take
are
the
like
3.
beg for mercy on your belly,
Easy.
lick the bottom of the
Easy.
shoes, and take a beating. So you could pick 2 of those 3. If he takes all 3, special offer, he gets 2 weeks off from bullying.
Fuck this kid. Fuck Spath. He should be at military school.
Well, yeah.
Well, you never fucking saw him again after this episode, so
Well, he
maybe
did
he
go.
did go.
And it was sad,
Yeah.
right? Because I thought, I mean, the story unfolds later on, but I thought someone was going to step up in this spot, but it doesn't happen. I
Like
thought
one of his
maybe-
older siblings.
I thought what would happen here is Malcolm was going to do something here to create friction between the two that would like last throughout the episode. But here it's just kind of they're introducing you to the character. And you see him like just beating the shit out of this kid as like Malcolm and his brother walk away.
That is the shitty thing about being that age too, though, where you're just like, well, if it's not me, like if it's not your immediate super close friends, you're just like, that's not me, and you turn and you walk away.
And also, in fairness, like Spat was like running pretty deep. And so there's a chance where if you interject yourself, like
He
you're
did
in a
have
world of
cronies.
trouble. And it's just
Right,
really
he's got a
tough to
crew.
like jump in. Yeah. And now we're cutting to like inside school and we're in a classroom and it looks like it's art class, but we see the teacher later. So I just think this is one of those, you're in this class all day learning multiple subjects, right? At this age.
It has to be, yeah, because when they see her again, she's doing something totally different, and it doesn't seem like. I mean, we all were in art classes, right? Like an art class is a very specific looking classroom.
This is also
That's where
like-
we were when we found out about
Class is
9/11.
dangerous.
It was indeed. It was graphic
was.
design class.
Never forget art class.
So, this was the first time we find out that Malcolm is somewhat gifted, right? Because of his like eye for detail in the subject he's doing. The teacher's super impressed. The girl next to him, who looks like was a potential love interest, is also impressed, which Spath takes notice and is not happy that this girl seems to be interested in him. So when Malcolm goes up to talk to the teacher and she's boasting on about how well he did and all these like great techniques he used and like what a joy this was, the only highlight of her day, which he acknowledges is sad. You see Spath like in the middle of that head over to where Malcolm sits and like dumps paint all over his chair.
Did anybody think it was going to be brown paint? That was my immediate thought.
No.
I thought it would be
Anybody
steak and
else?
cheese.
I was just gonna say, did anybody else
I
think of
thought
that?
of it. I
told-
didn't want to bring it up because we've talked about it, and I
We've
get
told the
sad when I
story.
think about it.
What I don't understand is why Malcolm tries to keep it a secret. Like, I'm not saying tell on the bully because that's going to get your ass kicked. But why didn't he go, I sat in
think-
paint? Like, he just sits there
Yeah.
scared. Like that's so
Well, I
embarrassing.
think in that moment, it's like regardless of how it happened, it's not even about ratting him out. That's still the visual. All the other kids see paint all over your
Right.
butt, and that's funny regardless of how it happened.
But I will say, any color of paint that's not brown is clearly paint, and you're like, somebody pranked you.
Yeah, he could have had a bloody ass.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it
guess
goes
that's
that
true.
way.
I would have rolled around on the chair so the front became red and people would think I was wearing red pants.
Hey, that guy's got cool red
Yeah.
pants.
Why is that kid humping his chair?
I like how you think if it's on the back, it's a bloody ass. If it's in the front, you don't think it's a bloody dick. You just think it's cool red pants.
So, after he goes back to his seat, he sits down and then, he sits in the paint, and you can tell by his face the second he sits down, he knows what happened.
Did he pour it on this chair or did he put the whole cup on? 'Cause I don't
I
know
think
if
he
he'd
just
feel
poured
it.
some in. You don't
I think
see it
he poured it.
specifically. Yeah.
Just his reaction was instant. And I don't know if you'd instantly know you sat in paint.
It's
Oh,
probably
you
like
would know.
It's probably like cold or
And
something.
then there's that
yeah.
moment where like shortly after, the teacher's like, hey, they need us, they want you in the office. He's like, okay. Like, yeah, like right now. He's like, yep, okay. Like, get up. And he doesn't want to.
Go. Yeah.
And then when he finally does, the way they do it, they cut to him already running like down it's outside, but it's like towards the office, but you can hear all the kids in the class laughing at him.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before too. This is such a clearly California school where you
Yes,
can
where
go
you can go
outside
outside.
in between the buildings. Oh God, I wish we had that growing
Do they
up.
say where they are?
No, I don't think
Not
so.
here. Not in this episode, at
No.
least. I don't think. I didn't flag anything where they said it.
I mean, I hope that they just leave it as like an Anytown thing because it's so obviously California. It would be weird if they were like, and we lived in Cincinnati.
No, but I don't know. A lot of these shows, it tends to be like
It says
Midwest.
within a 30-mile radius of Los Angeles, according
That
to
makes
the
sense.
internet.
But a lot of these shows that we've
Well,
covered,
there you
they
go.
tend to be like Midwest type families when they do that, like every family thing.
I will say this though, everyone should live wherever they want to live, and I hate the cost of living and the world we live in, we've made for ourselves is a nightmare. But if you want to have a better life and more money and not have such a crazy house, probably don't live within 30 miles of Los Angeles, because I'm pretty sure that's an expensive place to live.
Oh, I bet. Now we get to Malcolm in this teacher's office. He's not like the principal or anything. So it's weird that he was called to the office, but it's not the office. It's just this random
I was called to
teacher's
the
room,
guidance counselor a couple times. It happens.
as we've talked about.
Yeah.
So
It's
But
not.
we
It's
don't
like
even
a
know if that's what she
specialist.
is.
She's like a childhood specialist for the gifted kids.
I feel like
Yeah,
though it's not, that's she's probably wears multiple hats. Like she's probably the guidance counselor and does that because it doesn't seem like the school district would have the money for that specific job, right?
well, Malcolm doesn't even know why he's there. So he's very defensive at first. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. And he's like going on. And she's like, no, like, you're not in trouble. You're just, and this is what I didn't get either. She was also like afraid to tell him why he was there at first. So she like danced around it and it's like, let's just like play a game. Okay.
Well, he didn't let her really talk. He came in yelling and shouting. I don't think she was nervous. I just think she kept getting cut off.
Well, no, like, cause she's like, you're here because some of your teachers think you're, you know what? You know, and then she kind of changes the subject. She doesn't want to say it for some
Maybe
reason.
she has to do the test. She has to do the test first.
I guess to verify, but yeah, so she like pulls up this photo and she's like, can you like tell me, like, look at this for 60 seconds and I want you to tell me everything that's wrong with it.
I wouldn't.
And after a split second, he's like, the man only has 4 fingers. It's like, okay, but like, why don't you like really look at it? And he doesn't even look at it again. So he's just going by memory from the half second he looked at it earlier and just goes over like a long list of things he noticed were wrong in the picture. Like basically verifying he's a genius.
like the shadow's the wrong way, and
That's the one, right? Because you're like, okay, he's got 4 fingers. Because they have those apps, you always see the ads for it. Like, play a game. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
woman's not wearing a watch, and this woman is. But to be like, the shadow's coming from a different direction, the sun's over there, is not something I would ever think of. I don't know if that's something you guys would normally track,
like,
but
little, like there was one where like his watch read 12 o'clock, but it was a sunset, so the time wouldn't make sense. Like little things like that are a little more nuanced too.
well, we wouldn't have nailed the test. But
I also like that he ended it by he goes over the list of things, and the last thing he says is, "And I have red paint on my ass." Like he's so mad at like what had just happened, and he doesn't like really want to have this conversation with this teacher about anything because he's still very fixated on the fact that the paint all over his ass.
I do like too, though, to him, that's also something that's wrong with this picture, right? Like, that's
Yes.
kind of how he takes it, you know?
and I got the egg salad sandwich.
Yeah.
That would be a bummer too. Like, oh, I had one stale Eggo, and now I had egg salad sandwich for lunch.
I think it's kind of interesting. Like 2 weeks ago, we did Smart Guy, and that whole basis of the show is that this kid's gifted, and it's focused around the fact that he's gifted. Like that's really the main focal point of all the storyline. Where here, Malcolm is pretty gifted himself, but it's just like kind of a footnote in what's going on. It's really not focused on. It's just kind of like this weird. Oh yeah, also this.
Did they, I mean, again, I'm asking questions we might not remember the answers to, but I don't remember this being a huge subplot of the show going forward. That he was like a genius.
Oh,
Is it?
yeah, big time. It is. Yeah. So is Dewey. But
Oh,
Dewey,
okay. See, it's been so long since I've seen it.
Dewey messes up the test on purpose, if I remember correctly, and he gets put in like the slower kids class.
He's taking his safety scissors and his circular piece of paper.
He's actually like smarter than Malcolm. He's like the smartest one in the family, but they
Yeah,
all
I
think he's
forgot that
stupid.
this was like the subplot also.
But I don't know any of that because this is new.
Right. From this scene is when we get to that play date with Stevie, and I like it's so awkward at first. They're just kind of like looking at one another and they're having like some cookies, and then Malcolm's like, "So, what can you do? I mean, like, what do you want to do?"
What can you do?
And it's at first he's like, "I have a joke," and the way he talks is like he has to like take a deep breath before he says like every word, like he struggles to get sentences out.
The upside is he's very breathy. If he wanted to, once he gets a little older, he could be a phone sex operator.
I guess so. Stevie, I remember the character being like a long stay on the show. He was always in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
except for the episode where he has a daydream where he makes a monster suit that makes him walk almost like Mantis.
Like Mantis.
Which has come up a bunch of times in the not to date this episode, but we're just getting all the fun Stephen Hawking news, and I saw that meme going around about Stephen Hawking this past week.
Is that's weird that I don't I remember the character and I remember the way he talks with the breath, but I don't remember the wheelchair as much, which is kind of funny.
He's another one of those kids who didn't do a ton of acting afterwards, but he's in a third of the episodes. So I'm sure he gets a decent amount of money and just says, like, why would I work? You know what I mean? I bring this up all the time. I don't want to work, I think is what I'm getting at slowly but surely. And I'm so jealous of these people who don't get to do that.
So get yourself on a sitcom that lasts 7 years and 150 something episodes. Easy peasy.
Well, I mean, we're at 150 episodes of this. We should be getting the money soon, right, guys?
I hope.
Yeah, sure.
Any money would be cool. Yeah, so Stevie's telling a joke and he can't get through it, and then he's trying to start over, and it's just not working out. Malcolm's like, "Do you want to just watch TV?" And Stevie's like, "Oh no, I'm not allowed to watch television. Mom says TV makes you stupid." He's like, "No, TV makes you normal." And then you get like one of those like look to cameras where Malcolm's like, "How can they do that? He's in a wheelchair." Like, like what does he have left? Like he can't go outside and play. How do you take TV away from him too?
I mean, like, I kind of agree with this. We're garbage people, but that's...
How can they do that? He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, like there is and listen, hey, I don't know, and you know, everyone's situations are different, but I would say that even if you're someone who thinks that ultimately you want to like limit your child's screen time, when they have physical ailments that severely limit what you'd be doing in place of it, like maybe cut them a little bit of a break. Don't completely
I mean,
banish television.
yes, but he's also excelling academically, and who's
I was
to
going to
it's
say the
not
same thing.
That's true. So maybe it does
Yeah.
say something.
Yeah.
And we find out he does have his own vice.
Yes, comic books.
But that being
so-
said, though, Malcolm watches TV and he's also in that class. So
That's true.
also true.
True.
And also likes comic books. So we find out Stevie has this very, very well kept, nice setup in his closet. It almost looks like a little mini store when he opens the closet.
It's very cool. I was a little jealous when he opened the closet up.
it's weird they don't think comics will rot his brain, but TV will.
It's just just
Comics
Right,
are
'cause it's not
far
like it's
more
like-
violent.
This is Archie comic number 1. This is where Jughead calls him stupid. Like, it's
No,
real
the
comics.
opposite. It's the Max, which is super fucking violent.
The
yeah,
Max
he's reading
and then-
Young Blood and Savage Dragon.
Savage
Which
Which
Dragon,
I
that's
did look
what it
up
was, not the
Youngblood number
Max.
1. You can get for like $35 if you don't care about condition. So if anyone wants to read Youngblood number 1, it's out there.
I never cared about condition. I always bought them to read.
Me too. And then I carried them around for like 25 years, and then I moved a couple years ago, and I gave like 50% of them to a friend of mine who still like really reads them and was like, I don't want to move this box again. Here you go. I kept all the Batmans and all the G.I. Joes, and that was it.
I still have a bunch of my old ones. I don't really read anything anymore, but I get a bunch. I would say this was a nice moment because through the comic books, these two are starting to bond.
Yeah, I feel like when this scene ends, you're like, they're friends. Like, you feel like the way the camera pans out on them talking, you don't
Right.
question, you don't think it's about the comic books, you think they're actually connected and becoming friends, which is like a nice, they do that in a very short time. I think it's very good storytelling.
Yeah, it was done well. It wasn't like forced. It like organically came about. Like it made sense. You know, it didn't feel like a rush thing with like cheesy dialogue or anything like that. But I guess that's all it really does come down to, is like just finding that common ground with a person. And then like when you have something to build on, like, you know, it could work out.
Yeah, like a favorite band.
Like us.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's
Yeah,
funny
like we
now,
all
it's
have the
like-
same favorite band, and that's why we're really good friends. We all have our favorite band, Fozzy.
when yeah, I mean, you look at like our
Bet on
group
us.
of friends, and our extended group of friends, really, from when we were younger.
And
It was like we were all very different people. We weren't like a group linked on like one specific thing. Like we weren't the kids that were obsessed with this one sport or
We all love
drama
fire.
or something like that. We all just you know, we
Wrestling and
found little
fire.
things, little things we had in common with each other, like mischief. But yeah,
Yeah, slight
that's all it takes.
misdemeanors.
The Offspring. That was our connection.
it really was like that kind of
That
bonded
was
our
kind of
whole
everybody's
group
band, yeah.
in like elementary school.
And I will say we are now in year 30 of the Offspring Smash. And
Yeah,
after
crazy,
just getting
right?
the
Yeah.
Easy.
10
Yeah.
album box set for Green Day's Dookie that came out, if there is not an Offspring box set that comes out this year, I am going to be so fucking mad.
We've discussed group tattoos many times. There's no reason that the Smash logo should be. It has to be that.
I don't think it tattoos well.
I don't love that logo. I wouldn't want.
I also have I have a tattoo that's commemorative of that album. That was like meant to
I
be
have the
like
cassette, right?
Yeah.
I have the cassette that says Smash on it, which was more like a nod to our group.
Oh,
I mean,
always
I will
thought
get an
always thought that was a
Offspring
Smash Mouth tattoo that you had.
No, it was not. No.
R.I.P. Smash Mouth guy who just died. I will say,
No
we got an
better
Offspring
fitting
tattoo,
tribute
but
than calling him Smash Mouth guy.
Smash Mouth guy. I mean, I don't fucking like Smash Mouth. I'm sad the guy's dead, I guess, but we just can't get the one that what's the wrestler with no chin who texted the girl from Lynn who was 14?
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. Yeah, we can't get that terrible Offspring logo because that guy has it on him.
That's from a different era of Offspring too. That like I feel like we
That
were out
nobody
on that
likes.
band by then, anyways.
That only a person like that guy would like enough to get tattooed on him.
Oh, she was from Lynn?
Yeah, she went to one of
Allegedly.
those shows that,
Allegedly.
yeah.
But
Well, the show was in
our
Lynn. I
fans
don't
aren't
remember
going to
what it was.
know what this means anyway.
Yeah, we're getting
so-
very off topic at this point. So in any event, we cut to the next morning and the three kids are all like on the couch watching television. And Malcolm looks at camera and says that like Saturday mornings is one of the things like his family does better than anyone else. One of the only things that is. And we cut to Mom, who's crouched in front of the dryer topless. And I'll admit, when that first happened, my eyebrows did raise a bit. I was like, huh.
Dark-haired women in their 40s. That's
Well,
a
that's the thing
subgenre.
too. You know, after that scene, I did look up like how old was she when this came out. This was one of
45.
those rare times. A lot of sitcoms we look back now and the parents are our age or younger, but she was like in her mid 40s when the first season came out.
You
She was
didn't
a
think she
little older
looked
than we
it?
get.
Mm,
Yes, but she looked good for her age. But yes, I believe the age.
I would have gone 40. I wouldn't have said 45. I feel like that's who's another example of that? Bonnie Bedelia from Die Hard, his wife in Die Hard. She's like much older than you think she is in that movie, but it doesn't show at all.
From this moment when we first see her in front of the dryer, are you guys on side boob watch for the remainder of the scene?
I don't remember much of the dialogue going on here. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just,
no,
like, as she's moving around,
not
my
me.
eyes are going, huh?
She never did it for me, so I wasn't really looking.
I don't
that
think she's
hard.
ugly.
But
I
you
don't
don't think
think
this
she's
scene
ugly,
did it though?
but-
If she didn't do it for you, this scene didn't.
I was too disturbed by the fact that she was topless with her around her kids.
It is weird. I'm with Ferg on that.
Oh yeah,
It's
sure. That's
just-
weird.
it's-
Again, naked parents, not good.
It's a different family for sure. Yeah. And I will say with her is more so like she has this sternness to her. I mentioned earlier that like she comes off more momish than other TV moms, I think.
She had to be the
Yeah.
opposite of Hal, who was a pushover, so she had to be the tight ass.
He hardly talks in this episode.
I was gonna say,
so it's
does
not
he
like-
have
yeah.
5 lines? Like aside
Is-
from when he's getting shaved?
Is no one really gonna say anything that we just had a woman topless, almost stuck in a dryer, and we didn't even fucking bring it up? Really? Have we
That's
gone
true.
that far? Have we
Oh,
got
but-
that highbrow on this show?
She's nobody's stepmom, though.
yeah, I mean, that's true.
You don't know. She's
That's
not
it.
really their mom. She could have been stepped somewhere.
Well, moving right along. So
I'm
the
ashamed of us.
How often does Hal talk? I know, like we said, when he's getting shaved, and I know the iced tea part later.
The iced tea part,
yeah,
that
a
is
little
too-
bit at dinner. Not much though throughout the episode. He
I
barely
didn't even
talks.
notice.
pretty
He
quiet
really
in this.
he doesn't talk that often in this
Yeah.
episode.
During this, the phone rings and she can't get the phone. She's busy doing the laundry thing. So they're all fighting over who's going to get it. Eventually, Malcolm picks up, and that's when it's Francis is the one who is calling. He's really the whole purpose of this phone call is just to ask Mom for an advance on his allowance.
They
He
are in
needs
a
more
position where they
allowance.
don't have a lot of
You wanna
money,
lay?
and they're sending their son who's in that much trouble allowance. I don't believe that.
It's
It's like
also
canteen. Like you're in jail. Like, you get canteen money.
He
Come
We
needs
wouldn't-
money.
from this episode watching it, we wouldn't really know this, but the runner of Francis's character is he is always separated from the family for one reason or another.
I remember he's in Alaska at some point, and then I think he marries somebody.
And he's a bit of a
Yeah, he
con
does.
man
Never
too,
home.
right?
Does he ever have a scene with the family? I don't know the whole.
He
show.
comes home a few times. He just
Okay.
never really lives home.
I didn't know if it was one of those things that was like never broken because I didn't watch like the full series. I've just seen a bunch of episodes.
Like one I remember is they have a family reunion one, and the other relatives keep shitting on the parents. And I know Francis is there because their revenge stick up for their parents. They steal their golf cart and drive it into a pool. All 4 kids.
Were you impressed by the mom's ability to identify that he was smoking just by talking to him on the phone?
In Christmas Vacation, was like, "Are you smoking?" When she just lights the cigarette. I feel like it's a weird parent thing.
You can hear people blow.
Sometimes, but I didn't think he had any of those obvious cues that I've heard people over the phone do.
The pretty
don't
lax
ask me,
military
I'm
school.
deaf.
He's allowed to just smoke butts on the phone with his mom, like indoors.
Well, all his
to be
buddies are
fair,
doing
though-
like weird stuff in the back, so
Yeah, that's what he talked about his friends in the back doing something that was simmering homoeroticism, which is basically just the scene from Dirty Work, where he's like, "Now you guys all go back to doing something flagrantly homoerotic."
They high five.
Hello, real cops?
when Francis gets off the phone, the doorbell rings and the kids are all busy like fighting, so no one can get the phone. I think they were fighting over food. I think this was like the other time that it was 2 people get something, one gets the other. So like 2 people could have pizza and then one had to have peas.
That's
Like-
the real loser right there.
Yeah, this is the
That's a
worst
tough
trade-off
one.
out of all of them so far.
I
But
hate
you make
peas.
Dewey.
You guys
you make
pea
Dewey
guys?
eat the pea. No, I hate.
I
I don't
hate
really
peas.
eat peas now.
I love vegetables. I don't like peas.
I
I
don't
feel
like
like
peas either.
I feel like
What
I
the
wouldn't
fuck's wrong
mind
with
them. I just don't
peas?
eat them. I've never really ate them as just like a side. They were never like in my house. So
You guys, is it a normal thing? Like I had it a lot when it was my mom's kind of like fuck it meal when she didn't feel like doing anything. It was macaroni shells with peas and onions. It sounds gross,
it sounds really gross.
but you don't
It
like
does.
onions, Jay. Like there's a lot of things
I don't
you
like peas
consider
or
gross.
onions, so I gotta tell you, I'm off this one pretty quick.
But I'm telling you, it's good. You take
I'll
it
have
out,
the macaroni shells though.
little salt, pepper, oil, and it's fucking great. Good filler. It's reasonably healthy, but
What if instead of the peas and onions, you just use cheese?
well, there goes the healthy aspect of it.
What,
I
do
mean,
you
pasta
think that's, like,
pasta
a
takes the healthy
nutritious meal?
aspect away. I love pasta.
What
but
is
come
wrong
on.
with peas and onions? You're
that
aware
was the
that they
only
are
thing in the
healthy
dish.
vegetables, right?
Yeah, but the pasta's not healthy.
What's wrong with pasta? It's just a carbohydrate. You
Didn't
need
say it.
carbohydrate.
Well, it's not healthy. It's delicious, but it's not healthy. I will say
Yeah, it
this though:
is.
it took
What's
until being with
unhealthy
my
about
wife
it?
until
Yeah.
I ever had pasta that didn't have like gravy on it.
Sauce.
Whatever the or not having this
I'm a
argument now. I'm
gravy
just
guy,
saying.
but yeah.
Like in my family, if there was pasta happening, it was always with tomato based around
Sauce.
it. And then my wife had to be like, you can eat pasta without that. And I was like, what are you fucking crazy?
Oh, I
If
love
it's
doing that. A
Still
little
good?
salt
I
and
enjoy it
too.
very much now.
Yeah.
I'm a big pesto guy. So pesto, there's always a pesto party in my house.
Do you make the pesto?
Rarely. It's very easy to make, but not often.
Been into the Varga sauce lately.
unless you're like going to grow the basil yourself, like buying like a bunch of fresh basil and then the olive oil and then pine nuts, like everything in it is kind of expensive. So,
You don't have to do the pine nuts.
yeah, you could sub them out.
You could also do D's nuts.
Damn it, Gordon.
Hey,
got an
you got
organic
one.
in. There you go.
I didn't hear him, but I knew what he said. So
Got him.
I
Congrats,
just looked
Gordon.
over and saw the smirk, and I was like, "Ah, fuck."
Been a while since I've made a D's nuts joke.
Well,
What's a while?
Has it?
no,
Yeah,
it's been a while since
to
you made
Gordo.
a good one.
Yeah, about 38 years.
So in any event, the doorbell rings. Lois has to answer it because the kids are too busy fighting. Decides that she's going to answer completely topless. She's not covered. She's not the laundry basket's not in front of her. Nothing.
She's holding clothes. She couldn't have thrown his shirt on.
Yeah, she's got a number of shirts in her hands.
She's flustered. But now it's Malcolm's teacher at the door.
Even Homer Simpson puts a towel on.
What if one of the neighbors had called the cops because this family is fucking a bunch of degenerates, and a cop, she opens the door to a cop, the kids are fighting and she's topless. These kids are getting taken
She
away.
probably wouldn't get in trouble.
She has a very I don't give a fuck attitude. So I don't know.
I mean, to
See,
be fair, if you're
originally-
naked in your own home, though.
Yeah, that's true. Originally, I thought she was just going to be unaware of the fact that she wasn't wearing a shirt and been like,
Me too.
oops, because she was just so flustered.
Yeah,
and then
she didn't give
when
a
the
fuck.
subject gets broached, she's just like, what? It's just boobs. I'm like, oh, she's well aware. That's weirder. Like,
I think the weird thing, though, is so this happened to somebody we all know of. I won't say who because I want to hold their anonymity. They did nothing wrong. They were in their house. They were wearing boxer shorts because they just came out of or boxer briefs, just came out of the shower, and they were like a light brown, almost tannish color. And the neighbors next door saw them through the window and thought they were just walking around naked, and they had a teenage daughter and called the cops. And he answered the door because he just did the doorbell rang, and the cops were like, "Oh," like they knew right away, and were like, "Your neighbors think you're naked. Just close your windows, man, or wear like a different color boxer shorts." So, I think that like, if the windows are open, you still can't get in trouble. Like you couldn't be arrested for it unless you were like jaying
Why can't
off.
the damn
right?
neighbors
Like,
close
your
their
own
window?
house.
You can't even be arrested for jaying off.
I mean, if you're
windows are
jaying off
open.
out the window at somebody, I think they have grounds
Well,
somewhere.
if you're like staring at them like this and,
My-
you know, fucking going to town, yeah.
To go back to that story, that's a lifetime of awkwardness between you and your neighbor now. So now you didn't do anything wrong, but as soon as you see them, it's like, oh,
Hey,
hey.
fucko.
Oh yeah, you're taking the barrels out next week, and you're like, "Howdy, neighbor." Yeah, that's gone forever.
I'd be taking them out in
No.
those brown shorts.
If I know they call the cops on me, I'm wearing a fucking Speedo around my house from now on.
I mean, to be fair, at that
So,
point, yeah,
like,
you're
fuck
just gonna have
you.
to have fun with it.
yeah, that's why Ferg's wearing a Speedo.
I normally freeball, so they'd be lucky if I wore Speedo.
We all know Ferg loves to Donald Duck when he's at home.
Maybe I am
Berg's
right now.
his shorts keep getting shorter and shorter, and we don't know why. It's like he's hemming them or something.
Ferg's just walking around in that blue button up and sailor hat.
I wish I had that.
Anyways, yeah, so the teacher, Caroline, she shows up at the door. She's very uncomfortable by the fact that this woman is topless in front of her, but she's trying to talk to her and explain the situation. Lois is very defensive. She doesn't know what's going on. She just assumes that they want to put Malcolm in like a special class, but the opposite way, like for like a slower student. She's unaware that he's like gifted, and Caroline's trying to explain this to her, but she just, first she's distracted, and second, she can't get a word in. And yeah, we do get that, Nick, you mentioned earlier, like they're just boobs. She's like, you see them every day in the mirror, and they're probably a lot better than mine. And she's like, that's not part of this. Like, that's not, she's really trying to get through this whole thing.
I thought she said that's not true.
No, she was just trying to say that this is not relevant to the conversation, essentially. I forget the exact quote,
But I did feel like she was being a little self-deprecating about her own boobs at this point too.
a little bit. And
Like she felt like she was
we
getting body
wouldn't
shamed a
know.
little.
We wouldn't know. We didn't really get a good look.
We didn't really get
Um,
into it, but that teacher's kind of weird. Like she got the high pitched voice. She's wearing like she got a really big puffy backpack and like almost like a flower child.
She's like definitely a holdover from like the
different
90s
era, yeah.
era of like positivity. We can change and make everything better. She's also in the movie Mafia, which comes up pretty often on this show, but I'm very happy to see a Mafia alum in an episode.
Don Quixote.
Don Cornelius. Peace, love, soul.
There is a point where she finally, tries to tell Lois, like, hey, listen, this isn't what you think. Just, if you could just let me in and explain things. I also liked when Lois is like, oh, so you think I'm a bad parent? She's like, no, I'm sure you're a great parent. She looks over and you just see all three kids through the window just fighting with one another.
At this point, too, all three kids look like Pigpen from Peanuts, basically. Like, they could just have, like, a dirt cloud around them.
So the two of them eventually get to talking. We don't see that. That happens off camera. And it cuts to, like, that night, and it's dinner time. And it's just the whole family sitting and eating. And, like, you would think they're all eating on a timer. Like, the whole family just shovels food down.
It's a bit over-exaggerated, and I will say the one funny thing here, though, is the mom has no food. She doesn't even have a plate.
Yeah.
She's not even eating.
It was quite the sight to be seen. It's funny, like, I'm a fast eater, but like this whole family is like, are they rushing just to go on with their day? Like, do they not want to spend time with each other? Like, I don't know why they're all eating like this.
They're always watching television. I assume the mother makes them, this is the one time they have to have family time. It's family dinner. So they try to eat
rush
quick
out of it
and get back to television. But that's never stated or anything, so I don't know if that's a fact. It's just where my mind went.
That could very well make sense. As they're trying to get up and like escape dinner is when the mom's like, hey, whoa, hold on. We all need to talk real quick. And this is when she wants to discuss this situation with Malcolm and like, hey, there's an opportunity for him to be like in the special class. I like that before she gets into it. She's like, there's something we need to talk about. And Hal's like, I thought we weren't going to mention on Helen until after the biopsy.
Yeah.
I was like,
it was such a quick forgotten about line, but it was
and
great.
it's just dark. You know what I mean? It's such a dark line. But we find out that Malcolm's IQ is 165. And as a result, they're going to put him in that like special, like gifted school.
Now, I forget what like the range is, but that's like astronomical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe so. Although in Smart Guy, the older brother said he thought TJ's IQ was 1,000.
Well, that just contributes to
that's
his low IQ.
Yeah, that was just a kid using hyperbole.
Yes, I know.
So a couple of people's IQ of 165 include Carl, the famous botanist, Carl von Linn.
Please say a name we know.
Charles Darwin.
Okay, there we go.
In all fairness, did they measure like your IQ the same way back then? Though I think obviously Charles Darwin's a genius, but
someone named Adragon de Mello had a IQ score of 400.
Albert Einstein was 160.
There must be a steep curve.
And Benjamin Franklin also was 160.
Also, the IQ test itself is up for debate, isn't it? Like it's
yes,
not.
it is. It's not like a true measure of intelligence because you have multiple intelligences that it does not.
And it's like
measure.
Like Leonardo da Vinci's on this list. Like there's people from like
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, it's just like what fucking IQ test are you taking in fucking 16?
Yeah, so obviously like the measure was different at the time. Like, how do you really justify? But
he made it to 30. That's his
not to say Leonardo
IQ.
da Vinci was dumb, like he was a crazy.
No, but yeah, obviously they weren't taking the same test. So it's tough to like completely link the two as far as intelligence.
Well, when you make a very famous code, then you can.
When Nicolas Cage solves it, you've made it.
In any event, Malcolm does not want to go to the school at all. And it's more like he doesn't want to be like separated from the friends he already has, although he doesn't seem super popular. And I just think like all the kids in this special program are just looked at a certain way. They're looked at as nerdy and made fun of. So he just doesn't want to be linked in with that. Being at that age where it's already tough to be a young teen or preteen.
Yeah, you don't want to be different.
And that's the thing. It's like not the fact that you're smarter. You're just, by being in that class, you are being flagged as different. Period.
Yeah, it's why he doesn't want to hang out with Stevie. It's not because he's in a wheelchair and he's weird. It's because he's in that class. That's what he says earlier.
Yeah, that is true. Which is, I don't know, is that a good thing that's why he's discriminating him? It's not the wheelchair. It's that I don't like your intellect in the special class you're in.
Well, I mean, every one of us got sent to like the really smart person class at one point, right? So I don't think it really ostracized all of us.
I was in a couple smart classes.
In fact, me and Joe got sent to the "we're pretty sure you're dumb" class. Oh no, Ferg.
Oh, that was me and you.
Yeah, no, Joe was there too.
Oh, I was there.
That was we assume you failed the MCAS and then we fucking passed it.
You're like, I guess we'll let you go back to regular class now.
Yeah, no, I guess we'll let you go back to regular classes
Like-
a full half semester behind because you missed it in this fucking class you didn't need.
Hey, thanks. My confidence is through the roof now.
Yeah, right.
Well, sorry that I didn't recognize you guys for the genius that I had. Just in math. But so this conversation's going on for a bit. He's upset. This is one of the only times we get the dad to talk, because they're both kind of looking at him for support in their argument, and he just kind of doesn't want to get involved. So he just kind of diverts by talking about how the pitcher is empty and how he makes fresh iced tea every day and it's always gone by the time he gets home from work.
This is really the only time they use Bryan Cranston in the whole episode, which is kind of crazy for someone who's that funny. They kind of waste
he's just
him.
a prop being shaved.
He
Right.
has
He's like
not
one of the
come
funniest
out-
people ever.
but they don't know that yet at this point.
They do because of
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
true.
How many episodes?
And
are we
Power
on?
Rangers.
I think 6-ish or so. I mean, he was a pretty recurring character, and then the whole story arc of him converting to Judaism for the jokes. I mean, he's in it a lot. There's the Thanksgiving
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
You know, he does all his own stunts on this show, and Hal gets into
Yes.
some pretty big stunts throughout the series. So it's impressive.
Like when he made all that meth.
I was gonna say, he does all his own stunts for most of his shows, like smoking drugs.
But yeah, so in any event, from there we cut to later on, and Malcolm's in bed and his mom's like sitting by his side and they're having a conversation.
Seems very sweet.
It was, and it was one of those moments where this family, which can be abnormal at times, felt like a family.
This was very
And-
needed, I think, in the show because they're
The
so
mom is
dysfunctional.
very warm at this part. Like,
Yeah.
and she seems
was-
motherly.
Yeah, because even before, I say, like, there's a lot of times where, especially early on, like she comes off stern but had good points. But this was one of those times where the family didn't seem like a cartoon, because so much of the stuff we're seeing from them is so wacky, like the shaving and the nudity. It's like they're very bizarre. So you kind of needed a scene that grounded them, even if it's just a couple of them for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think it's grounded
Yeah,
too,
it's-
though. I think it's more just being like, these are good, nice people who care.
Yeah, and the whole basis of the conversation is just kind of her reassuring him that, going into this class is the right thing, and, being different doesn't mean it's bad, and it's nothing to be worried about. And she started making fun of other kids who said, like, no, who's really normal, and just kind of like picking apart like every other kid that he goes to school with.
The neighbors across the street who look like boiled beets, I think she says.
Yeah.
I know this shouldn't
And he-
help, but it does.
Yeah.
Now, we all talked about peas and carrots and onions and different vegetables we all don't like or do like.
Beets
Does
are
anybody
great.
here like beets?
They're so
Nope.
good. Yeah. Have
God
you ever
damn it,
had
Nick.
them?
Nick, you're a foodie. You're a genuine foodie. I was only expecting you to like beets.
You would like beets. Have you had them?
I've had
They
beets.
taste like dirt.
I've had beets once, yeah, and they were very,
Wash
very
them
earthy.
first, you dumbass. You gotta
I can say this.
I ate it
I
raw
legit-
like an apple, and it was not very good.
I don't think I've ever had one. I really don't think I've ever had one.
I know they sure
tastes
enjoy
like
them in
dirt.
Bluffington.
That's true.
Dirt.
Oh, yeah,
That's what it tastes like.
Cut them into slices, little salt, pepper. It's good. I don't think I've ever had it like. I don't think I've had a cooked beet. Like I've only ever tried a raw beet.
Doesn't
My-
it make your pee red?
They use
Uh,
beets in a lot of the healthier,
No.
like barbecue sauces. Like for people that are on diets, that's one of the main ingredients they use instead of like the sugars and stuff.
Beets doesn't affect the color of your urine?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know if it does one way.
I think
know
there's something
beet
behind
juice
that, and-
is really good for you.
I think that's one of those things Gordo's just saying without checking, though.
I'm looking at
I don't think it's your urine. I think it's
I'm-
your feces, to be honest with you. I think it makes
Listen,
your poop red.
my wife is from a country that eats plenty of beets.
Okay, put her on the microphone then.
Oh,
She doesn't want
yeah.
to be associated with us.
I was going to say, I don't think she wants any
It's
part of
It's
this.
probably for the best.
As
No,
a
but they
result,
eat-
hold on. As a result, may turn your poop and pee pink
Yeah.
or red for up to 48 hours.
No,
after
it does
consumption.
not. That's an old
I
wives' tale.
typed in do beats and that came up as the suggested
That was number
search,
one.
so it's-
Yeah.
Weird pause. No one knows how
I
to
don't
get
know.
back from red
I
poop.
never know
I
how
don't
to.
know.
Yeah, it's Gordo disputing facts or telling us fake facts.
Gordo. Oh man, he's on that Kim Jong Wi-Fi again.
No, I just have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. Make you look like that you pee in period blood.
Oh, gross.
You made it gross.
That was
Uh,
weird, man.
yeah.
I don't know why
Yeah.
you did that.
With that in mind,
So many
later
clots in
on-
these beats.
we cut to Malcolm in his old class, and he's because this was the last thing the mom said to him was, "You'll be all right. Like, you know, if you don't make a big deal out of it, no one else will." And then when he's in class, it's him and standing up front with the teacher, and the teacher's just like talking about how different and special he is versus all the other kids, which is obviously his nightmare. And they're all clapping for him, and you can see that kid Spath is very happy that he's leaving. I think because he likes that blonde girl that seems to like Malcolm.
No, I thought it was because he sees that he's one of those kids now and he's a bully.
Well,
Yeah.
he
He's
was
his next
jealous.
victim.
He was jealous of that attention he got from the girl. Like early on, like the whole reason he even put the paint on his seat was after she was like, "Oh, like that was so good, like your painting," and he gives him like the dirty look. So I think there is that element of he wants that girl, so Malcolm being out of the picture helps. And that girl in this moment finding out he's going to the other school is like, "Bye," like like there
She's
goes
also
that.
disgusted by this class for some reason.
She just mouths by so sadly that I actually felt really bad for this poor little girl.
And then Malcolm has his hands over his face, and they use that as like the way to transition. So it's that tight shot of his hands over his face, and then we cut to that same thing, only they pan back out. Now he's in his new special class. It's just like all the new kids just staring right at him, like he's like a test subject.
I want him to go nuts like that scene in Darkman where it's like, he's a freak, ladies and gentlemen. He's a freak. And he just
Come
throws
see the
teacher.
dancing freak.
Pay $5.
I want one kid in the class to be Canadian.
They think I'm slow, eh?
So now, it cuts a little later on, and Malcolm's sitting next to Stevie, and he's like, "Why do they keep staring at me?" He's just like, "'Cause you're new." He's like, "Oh, great. So I'm the freak of the freak show." And he's telling him to chill out. He's like, "No, you chill out." Like, and he's pretty mean at this point.
He
He's like,
lashes
"Yeah, like,
out.
yeah, like," because he's telling him
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, this doesn't make any difference to you. Like, you've always been a freak. I used to be normal." And then he even in that moment goes, "Wait, who said that? Like, you're gonna take that the wrong way, aren't you?" And he just goes,
Yeah, I like how he immediately walked it back because he
Yeah,
kinda
he
He
realized
knows
what
he was a
said
shithead
in the moment.
immediately.
I wish they expand a little more after the comic part showed them bonding a little more like they were friends. So you could see this hurting Stevie a little more.
Yeah, they could have snuck in like one other quick scene or like a phone
Yeah.
call or something. But yeah, Stevie just replies by going, "You suck." Like, I don't think I could do that voice without sounding like Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
I was
you had a little
thinking,
Vince McMahon there.
That's got to take it out of you as an actor who has to do that. That's got to
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Maybe it's real.
Is it Stoop Kid in Hey Arnold who also talks like that? Isn't there a Hey Arnold character?
No,
named-
it's
No.
the kid who always
No,
goes
it's
up.
Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene. He always goes up behind Helga and he breathes like
punched.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stoop kid just never leaves his
He just never
stoop.
leaves his stoop, yeah.
Stoop kid. I think about that more often than I care to admit.
It's weird
Those
because
shows come up in my brain a lot too, yeah.
yeah, they take up a lot of real estate up here.
Like, ah! Real Monsters, that show.
Sorry to anyone listening to this at the moment as Joe screams into your ears.
Apologize to
That's
me.
what the show was named.
Yeah. So now we're cutting to the playground outside, and Malcolm's sitting alone at this table, and he's talking to the camera. And he's saying how around here being smart is like being radioactive, and you get like the aerial shot, and he's not even moving like drastically, he's just like leaning one way or another. And it's kind of like that, like what are those things like when you had the magnet in like not the Woolly Willy, but it's like kind of like that, the way the things inside react to it.
Etch a sketch.
I like that Gordo gave me a face because he doesn't know what a Woolly Willy is. But it is
Do you
a
not
thing.
know Wooly Willy, Gordo?
Gordo, it's the face thing where you drop the magnet things on it to give him like a mustache
okay.
different haircuts.
Oh, all right.
He looked at me like I made it up. Like it was his fake
I
thing.
thought you did.
In fairness to him, like I know what that is, but it took me a minute to remember.
Who is the Woolly Willy character? He's
It's,
somebody else, too.
Kevin from The Office.
No. Like, that character is used for something else.
Operation?
Yes,
Operation,
it's
maybe?
the Operation character, yeah.
It's because he
But yeah,
ate all the magnet stuff. It's a good
I think somebody took away this whole podcast's funny bone, and that's what's been going wrong for 150 episodes.
I think
What I do like, though, about this scene is Malcolm subtly nods up to initiate the aerial shot of how everybody's
Well, yeah, like because
moving
he
around
talks
him.
to camera a lot. He acknowledges that there's a camera. After that, he's like, he sees Steve and he wants to like make amends with him. So he walks over, and as he goes to apologize, you just see somebody from like Spat's table. It was either Spat or one of his friends, like just like throws something at his head. It looked like maybe like an empty juice box or something.
thought it was a carton of milk, but I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah. And Malcolm stands up for himself. He's like, "Hey, Spath, why do you stop being such a butt wipe?" And he's like, "Ooh."
2024 butt wipe made me
Return of
laugh
the butt wipe.
so fucking hard.
Yeah. and he keeps going on, and he's not really afraid of Spath, at least in this moment. And he's telling him, like, all you do is make everybody's life miserable, except for your little monkey slaves over there, who, by the way, only pretend to like you. They hate you just as much as everyone else. They're just too busy being mean and stupid to ever figure it out. Or he's too busy being mean and stupid.
Like, too, that you get the call back to his mom's thing where he's like, "I want to run away, but my legs won't work." My mom's right. They are important. That's a really well-written joke.
Yeah.
And then, like, after he has, like, this whole thing, like, Spath and his friends start walking over towards Malcolm. And it's weird. In this time he talks to camera, he's acknowledging future events. So he says to us, like, okay, this is where something good happens finally. So we're going to slow down and make it last as long as possible, which is weird because it's different than the other talk to cameras we got. It's more like him knowing that
It
he's
was
narrating the
strange.
story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go
This
back
feels
what we
more
talked-
Zach Morrissey.
Yeah. But to go back to what we talked about earlier about how he walked away when the other kid was getting bullied, I think it would have been a little more effective if one of the other kids from the class was getting bullied and he stepped in because he feels bad that he hurt their feelings, something like that, instead of just him getting hit by milk.
Yeah, but
Or
this
if the
all kind
original
of
bully
works
kid
out, I
walked
think,
away
the
when
way
he
pans
saw
out.
it and like they did a full circle.
Well, the
Because
reason
now
why I don't think it's effective is he pissed off Stevie, and he really didn't do anything to get his friendship back.
Well, I think Stevie was maybe just smart enough to understand that that really wasn't where he was coming from.
Yeah, this was like a lashing out,
Yeah.
growing pains, and he's
Yeah.
in a weird situation.
So in this slowed down scene that we're prepped for, it kind of starts with Malcolm. Is it pudding? He just like throws pudding on Spath.
Yeah.
He gets pudding cupped. I want to start using
Yeah.
that as a term. Like, oh, dude got pudding cupped.
What's that stuff we used to eat back in the day?
Pudding cups. Snack packs.
So then to retaliate, Spat's going to punch him. But Malcolm ducks, and then you get the slow motion like punch, and he overshoots Malcolm, and then ever so slightly, just barely touches Stevie's chin.
And
And
it's a ding.
and everything stops. It's like, dude, you hit a cripple.
Well, no. You forgot that Stevie sells the shit out of it
After
and
that,
throws
not at-
himself onto the
Yeah.
ground.
After the kid says, dude, you hit a cripple, he pauses for a minute and he like realizes he has an
flails
opportunity
over.
here.
Yeah.
And he just, throws his whole body onto the ground. So now he's just sitting there like,
He takes a delayed bump after getting hit 30 seconds later, almost like he's a wrestler in AEW.
Only did something more exciting, like jump 1 foot to the ground and punch him.
I was watching 1986 Wrestling Challenge last night, and I gotta tell you, it was way better than anything Hangman Page has ever done.
Moving on.
Considering you've seen a couple of his matches, I'm sure you have a lot of education for that. But yeah, regardless, so now everyone is very upset with the fact that Spath hit, the kid in the wheelchair. And like just about everybody, his whole crew, everyone's kind of turned on him. And he's like, I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying. I'm so sorry. During that exchange, like Malcolm and Stevie kind of give each other like that glance, like they're acknowledging, friendship and that he kind of helped him out there.
I love that one of Spath's friends is like, he's in a wheelchair and he wears glasses. Do you know how bad that looks? I love that he's aware of just the glasses thing makes it so much better as a bunch of blind people on this. Like, it's very understandable. As people who wear glasses and have gotten punched in the face while wearing glasses, that never stops anybody and nobody thinks about that twice.
And it fades out to that I've seen better days song. Been the star of many plays. I forgot to look up who does that song.
I can't even remember who does that. Yeah.
Usually I write that stuff down. I fail to in this moment.
There's a lot of interesting music in here too. Isn't the mom singing the Isley Brothers when she's shaving the dad too in the beginning?
Yeah,
there's a lot of
off.
interesting. Yeah.
And there's that weird song when they have the play date. They're playing some awkward song.
Johnny Paycheck.
No, it's playing there.
It's Citizen King.
Citizen King?
Oh, that's right.
What do you look at? Like, I don't get it.
I feel like Gordo's looking. When we were like, Gordo, you should write notes for the show. He's writing notes, but he's looking at ones for other episodes. He's just throwing stuff out.
He's just never right, ever. It doesn't
But it's
matter.
weird because he looks it up.
I know he's got the power of the internet like at his fingertips, and he still gets everything wrong. I
feel
don't
like
understand
someone
it.
put something on his phone as a prank. So instead of Google, he's like using Boogle, and it like purposely gives you fake info.
Oh my
Did you
god!
say Boogle?
Yeah,
Gordo, who has the highest security clearance of anybody on this, doesn't know how to Google things.
I get that government Boogle, my friends. It's real information.
We fade back into the final scene, and it's Malcolm just kind of having a dialogue, talking to the camera. And he's kind of just going over what happened. Basically, the way the story panned out is it looked like he's the big hero for defending Stevie, who got attacked, and how good that all worked out. He's like, it wasn't funny when Spat started crying. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, it was.
This is all during the credits. The credits are rolling at this point already.
And we cut to a bird on a pile of Dad's hair outside, like on the newspaper.
Oh, it's so gross.
He's like, Dad's hair, ugh. Yeah, I know it's gross, but hey, if a bunch of birds can make the best out of it, like, make the best out of what they can get, then so can I. So, oh, okay, weird way to get the lesson. And then we also find out throughout that whole dialogue he's having at the end is that he's sitting on a trash barrel that's upside down, and his brother Dewey's inside of it, and he's not letting him out. So
I think it's kind of a great way to end the episode because it shows that he's learning and he's going to be like this smart, growing character, but he's also an older brother, and they're going to have this dynamic too. I think it was a really good way to be like, this is what the show is going to be now going forward.
It's interesting because, and I said it before, like a couple weeks ago we did Smart Guy, and there's like a core piece of the premise of the show which is very similar, but it's attacked completely different.
This is more realistic, where you'd be put in a special class. You wouldn't be jumped up 6th grade, so you're a fucking little kid in high school.
And also like this kid who's like resenting the fact that he's so smart because he'd rather fit in,
Yeah.
And I forgot, we didn't talk about the number yet, but one thing I did want to bring up, they say that his IQ is 165.
Yeah.
Anybody look up what the average IQ is?
We talked about
this while you
talked
were
about
peeing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is it? No, we didn't talk specifically.
We didn't talk about the average. We just talked about a couple other people who like average in the 165 area.
So they say the average is 100, and that the number usually skews between 85 and 115, which is where you get the 100 number. But Forrest Gump's is 75. So if the average person could be 85 and you're like, you're of average intelligence, and then you think of that scene in Forrest Gump and he's like, there, Mrs. Gump, Mrs. Gump, like that's
7.
it's not good level of smart.
No.
But think of all the things Forrest Gump did.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. He met the worst Beatle. He met a bunch of other people.
He invented the "Have a Nice Day" T-shirt.
He invented
ran.
shit happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I will say this, like, there's like a weird revisionist history going on for like the younger generation of people being like, Forrest Gump's not a good movie and it's stupid and it's boomer, this and that.
well, they're
Fuck you.
stupid.
Forrest Gump is amazing. It is a great
yeah.
movie.
It's a fucking masterpiece.
I will
Who
watch Forrest
doesn't
Gump
like Forrest
anytime
Gump?
it's on.
First
You
of all,
type in
wait,
Forrest
time out.
Gump and look up people's current take on it now. Like kids are like, this movie's not good, or this is like a fairy tale and like it's a non-existent world. I don't know. We grew up with that
course
movie
it
and I
is.
fucking love it.
Wait, Gordo, do you like
Lieutenant
Forrest
Dan,
Gump?
ice cream.
I do.
Okay, all right. Well, it was 50-50. You might have thought it was a stupid movie. It's entirely possible.
No, I've seen it a couple of times. It wasn't like anything that like flags as like one of my favorite, but it was enjoyable the couple of times I've seen
You
it.
saw it like you saw Top Gun, or you actually saw it?
No, I actually saw it.
Also, I wanted to say one of my favorite like just memes on the internet is the one of Jenny like giving the deuces on the back of the bus, and it says, "Bye, Forrest. I'll be back when you're a shrimp billionaire and I'm a single mom with AIDS."
Yeah. Forrest does
It's
not
fucked up.
get
Does he?
the love story he should in that.
No.
Also,
he
speaking
doesn't.
of which, when he first meets Haley Joel Osment, he's like, is he? And she's like, no, he's very smart. Like, she
Yeah.
knows Forrest is stupid and tells him to his face. That movie has things that will be in your life forever. Every time I get bit by a bug in the summertime, I immediately go, something bit me. Like, there are things that are just in there forever.
Yeah.
Anytime we're watching some documentary of Vietnam, I can't not think that lying son of a bitch Johnson. Like, it's just burnt into my brain.
Yeah,
Well-
anytime I have ice cream, you go, Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
And then
how
you
many
take a
times
second ice cream cone and you just put it into a bed toilet.
Well, as much as I'd like to talk about Forrest Gump for the next hour, I think
Yeah,
we've
can we
kept
just do-
everyone long enough.
This is
Yeah.
why we need Patreon. We need to do a watch along of Forrest Gump.
Let's do that. 100% I'm down.
Yes.
So, in the meantime, I think we've kind of talked about this episode enough. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to get into with it, but
I'm good.
I think we're pretty good to move on.
I have one fact: is the creator? He was on Little House from the Prairie. Sorry, I'm
The Lost in the
stuttering.
Prairie.
But it was based on his life. The show.
This show's based on his life.
Yeah, he grew up like really smart and got put in special classes. So
Michael
roughly on
Landon?
his life.
Not Michael Landon. He was untouched by an angel. He was the little boy who was touched by the angel.
No, what was his name? It's like Windward something.
Linwood Boomer. It's a very interesting
Yeah.
name.
Wow.
Weird name.
Okay, boomer.
Also, if you look up, I love doing this because we're, a show about sitcoms. If you look up a lot of these people who do sitcoms, they usually have like 4 or 5 random sitcoms that never got made or never went past a pilot or did like 3 episodes. This dude has a bunch of very interesting sitcoms in his wake that would be great for us to cover, including an animated one that looks very funny. But he also was the executive producer of the US pilot for Red Dwarf, which I feel like we have to cover someday.
Oh,
Well, stay tuned.
I didn't
Maybe
even
we'll
know that
cover-
existed.
neither did I.
I've never seen it. I will say this. We cover a lot of British comedy. It's very rare that a US version works. It's pretty much The Office
Yeah,
and Ghost.
just The Office.
That's it. I think the
Ghost
US
sucks.
Ghost is still very funny. I like the UK Ghost, but I think the US one is equal. But it's pretty rare, so I feel
We'll
like
talk
when you
about
try
that
to
in
make...
October.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
will.
did. Did we do UK Ghosts? Not US, right?
We did UK.
not
We
US.
haven't done US.
We did UK.
Oh, and also, if anybody's interested and wants to see more of UK Ghosts, it's all on Paramount Plus now.
They just put it on.
And the new season of US Ghosts is soon, I think.
So yeah, so in any event, let's get into the green letter cancel. I'm gonna go in the order I see you guys. So Nick, starting with you.
Yeah, I don't think I got to mention it when we were discussing it at the front, but I had not seen a lot of this show at all. Maybe a few episodes in passing when it was on TV. I was not super. I knew what it was. I was familiar with it, but hadn't seen a lot of it. But I really enjoyed this show. For the time, it's innovative. Or the way they tell the story is innovative with him breaking the fourth wall all the time. There's a ton of chaos but it's also endearing. It's you know what I love the most about this, and it's something I feel like we've never really we've talked about it, but not in full. The typical American middle class sitcom always seems to be a significant sitcom. I wrote a list and now I can't find it. Like Roseanne, Married with Children. I mean, The Simpsons, if you want to count it, all middle class.
Wait, he's not a middle child. Is that why it's called Malcolm in the Middle?
He's like the middle of what's left. He's
maybe
in the middle.
It's the middle class.
The middle,
poet,
not counting
yeah.
Francis because he's not in the picture right now.
Yeah,
But he's still not the middle child.
Oh, I said that earlier. I think it's a weird footnote on the show, but maybe that's not what they meant. But it's assumed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But even show All in the Family, Sanford and Sons, like all these shows were like wildly popular, and they're all around the middle class, and they do really well. And I'm surprised you don't see more of them. Like there's so many like Full Houses, Big Bang Theories, like where these lavish like houses and apartments and stuff like that are just way unbelievable. Malcolm in the Middle has like a ton of like unpolished characters, and it's totally relatable, and I like it a lot. It's just a genuine show, and I really like it. It was probably one of the hardest shows I've had to stop watching because I wanted to just keep going with it. So it's a very, very easy green light.
Berg.
Yeah, I agree with a lot Nick said. I didn't hide very well my enthusiasm for this show. I had a lot of facts. I usually don't do much research. I just watched the show. I had a lot for this. I watched it all the way through its first round. I'll probably continue watching it, which I haven't done recently with a lot of shows we've done. Early days, I used to rewatch everything. Yeah, I love it's semi-big cast. You got to know everyone. You didn't actually get to know Reese very well in this one, but you still got a sense for who everybody is in the family, the mom and dad dynamic, the students, the whole way this town in LA works. And they did a good job telling the story. And everything about this show is perfect to me. Yeah, so nothing more than the fact that I like it and I want to watch more. So green light.
Joe.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Nick, I think another show that we covered that I think fits in that realm too is Grounded for Life, right? The gritty middle-class family sitcom that always works really well that I feel like we are missing a lot of. And something, I think I said this about Roseanne, we covered it too, and I think it's really the same with this show. Watching it when we were 14, 15, you sort of related to the kids, and watching it as a person who's almost 40, you're like, those parents aren't crazy and unhinged. They're just trying to do the best they can with what they have. And it's kind of crazy when you watch shows like this and do an analytical take on it, and you realize that you have flipped 180 from the kid character to the adult character. And that's a weird place to be, but it's a very interesting way to rewatch the show. If I had any issue with this, it's just that I think they didn't give Hal enough because he's just so funny. He had one other line we didn't mention where he's just randomly reading the paper and saying kids are going to name a probe to Venus. It just goes, that's not going to end well. Like, that is where I think he's so funny, those quick little one-lines. I wish they gave him a couple more, but I really enjoy this. I wanted to watch more of this. Is this streaming anywhere? I forget we mentioned that.
I believe it's on
I
Hulu.
watched it on Hulu, yeah.
Okay, it's on Hulu. I will probably add this to the list to keep watching. I did enjoy it. It's a green light for me.
Gordo.
Yeah, I'm not going to rock the boat on anything here. It's a green light from me. This is a proper sitcom. Like, I feel like this era gave us another group of classic sitcoms, like Nick said, like Home Improvement, like yeah. Green light.
Well said.
I got nothing else to say. You guys have said it all. It's a funny show. I enjoy it.
Not since Home Improvement has there been a television show.
No, it's good. Green light.
In any event. Listen, I'm following suit with the rest of you guys. I thought this was a really fun watch. I remember the show. I remembered liking it, but I really haven't revisited it in so long, so I didn't know what to expect. And then a lot of times with some of these shows, like when it's a lot of younger kids, it's like I don't know. It's weird now that I'm older. I don't connect the same when I'm watching all these like young kids. But I thought this was really fun. I just thought, very little critique on it. I enjoyed it. You know, I don't want to over delve. Green light for me. So that's 5 out of 5. So congratulations to Malcolm in the Middle. You get a perfect score from us.
We haven't had many of those lately.
We kind of did a couple weeks.
Actually, we've
ago,
had more than you think. Yeah.
Really?
Lately, it's been very positive. Yeah.
Because
But
we
yeah,
haven't done a Netflix
congratulations.
show in a while. You really need to throw a Netflix original in there to get the
when in doubt,
fucking.
squeeze in a Netflix show. But
You
yeah,
get the venom
congratulations to Malcolm in the Middle. Again, want to remind everyone, go to s1e1pod.com. That's where you can find all the links to our social medias, where to follow us, get in contact. That's how things like this happen this month of January, where we can have fan picks, is through talking to, all you guys who are listening. So don't just listen, subscribe, and download, and then talk to us on our socials. Like, just be part of the whole thing.
And share with your friends.
And yes, and tell others, because that helps too.
We've
But-
had an uptick in followers on our Instagram. It's been good. I've seen at least a couple a day for the last.
Yeah, so
few
you guys
days.
are starting
That's
to
awesome.
follow
Thank you,
along.
everybody.
So keep it up, and thank you. But until then, we'll catch you again next week with our 5th and final episode for January. So thank you very much for listening. Catch you again next week. Goodbye.
I think we got the best simmering homoeroticism.